As I was growing up, I began to get involved with pornography. Being in a computer, watching pornography, and having all this lust in front of me was the way out of when I felt sad or when I felt upset or when I felt like I just had to get away from my problems. This is what I found the relief in until somebody invited me to church one day. After somebody invited me to church one day, I decided to come, and it was pretty fun. They were a good church, they were a fun church, they were a church that got the point across. I realized that God wanted a lot more from me. Eventually, I came to the acknowledgement that that's what I needed, and I accepted that Jesus Christ was my Lord and Savior and that I needed Him. There was still that struggle in my life, and because I never decided to deal with it, I had a hard time even thinking of myself as anybody who related to Christ or had something to do with God. You know, being really involved with pornography to the point where I was now addicted, I was having some serious problems figuring out who I was, and I couldn't relate to people at church. I felt as if everything that I was trying to live out and the Bible, you know, that word I kept reading was never ever become effective in my life. And I just felt like basically the fakest Christian ever. It was kind of a big pride issue for me to realize that I needed help from others, and not just from Jesus Christ, but from those people in that church that I found. And it was hard looking at my friends around me, knowing that if they only knew what I was really doing, perhaps they wouldn't really be the awesome Christian friends that they were to me. I would sit there and I would think, if they only knew how I feel inside, you know, if they only knew how messed up I feel about myself, if they only knew what I see when I look in the mirror and I don't see a Christian, I don't see somebody who's in love with God. If they only knew how I felt and how I looked at myself, because I was so covered in sin and I was so covered in mistakes that I didn't feel genuine after all. I didn't feel genuine, and I didn't feel that God would actually, and it's a scary thought, but that He would even allow me to be with Him in heaven for the rest of eternity. And so I had to trust God at one point that there would be somebody out there that wasn't going to judge me, or that there would at least be somebody out there, and as hard as this thought was for me at the time, that somebody was out there who had actually been through this, that had actually struggled with pornography the way I had and been addicted at one point the way I had. It was hard, but eventually I let somebody know. I let somebody know that I had this problem. I let somebody know that even though I accepted Jesus Christ, I was still struggling with pornography, and that I was still having a problem with letting go of it. And those people around me just showed me love, just demonstrated love. They spent time with me just to make sure that I knew that they loved me. And all this was all helping me become that person who loved God and learned to love others. And the change that happened slowly but surely was just amazing, because I can trust Him, and I learned to trust people that know Him. And just confessing my sin and being accountable to people like that made the huge difference between coming from somebody addicted to pornography to coming to somebody who is in love with God.